The man under the stairs. Before you listen to this story, take a moment to check the darkest corner of your house. The space under the stairs. The hallway behind you. The place where the light never quite reaches. Sometimes we walk past those places every day and tell ourselves there is nothing there. But what if something has been there the whole time? If you enjoy scary stories like this, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Your support helps this channel bring you more chilling stories every night. And if you are brave enough to listen until the end, leave a comment saying, "I heard him breathing." Now, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and listen carefully. Because this story begins with a sound coming from under the stairs. A sound that should never have been there. Ethan moved into the old house on Maple Street during the first week of October. He was 28, recently laid off from his job, and trying to rebuild his life after months of bad luck. The house had belonged to his grandmother before she passed away. And since no one in the family wanted to live there, Ethan decided to take it. It was cheaper than renting an apartment. And more importantly, it gave him somewhere quiet to start over. The house was old, but not completely abandoned. It had 2 floors, a small attic, a basement that smelled like dust and rainwater, and a narrow staircase near the front door. Under that staircase was a small storage space with a wooden door. The kind of place people used to keep cleaning supplies, old shoes, broken umbrellas, and things they did not want to look at. On the day Ethan arrived, the whole house felt cold. Not winter cold. Empty cold. The kind of cold that stays in a room after someone has been gone for a very long time. He carried his boxes inside, opened the curtains, and tried to make the place feel less dead. But no matter how much light came through the windows, the area under the stairs remained dark. That small wooden door bothered him. He did not know why. It was just a door. Small, plain, painted white. The paint was cracked around the edges, and the brass knob was dull with age. Still, every time Ethan walked past it, he felt a strange pressure in his chest. Like something behind it was listening. On the first night, he slept in the upstairs bedroom that had once belonged to his grandmother. The bed was old, the wallpaper had faded into a yellowish gray, and the floorboards creaked whenever he moved. But Ethan was exhausted from unpacking, so he fell asleep quickly. At around 2:30 a.m., he woke up, not because of a nightmare, not because of the wind, because he heard knocking. 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Ethan opened his eyes and stared at the ceiling. The house was silent. For a moment, he thought he had imagined it. Then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. This time, he sat up. The sound was not coming from the front door. It was not coming from a window. It was coming from downstairs. From somewhere near the staircase. Ethan got out of bed and stood at the top of the stairs. The hallway below was dark. Only a thin beam of moonlight came through the front window, cutting across the wooden floor. He listened. Nothing. Then, from beneath the stairs, he heard a faint scratching sound. Scrape, 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 like fingernails, dragging slowly across wood. Ethan's mouth went dry. He reached for the light switch. The hallway light flickered on. The sound stopped immediately. The small door under the stairs was closed. Ethan stood there for almost a full minute, staring at it. Then he laughed quietly at himself. Old house. Old wood. Probably mice. He went back to bed. The next morning, he decided to check the storage space. In daylight, the door under the stairs looked harmless. Ethan grabbed the knob and turned it. Locked. That surprised him. He searched through the kitchen drawers and found a ring of old keys. After trying 3 of them, one finally worked. The lock clicked. Ethan opened the door. A stale smell rolled out. Inside was a small storage closet, barely large enough for a person to crouch in. There were a few old paint cans, a broom, a cracked mirror, and a cardboard box filled with yellowed newspapers. No mice. No holes in the wall, nothing that could explain the scratching. As Ethan was about to close the door, he noticed something carved into the inside of the wood. At first, he thought they were random scratches. Then he realized they were words. Very small, very messy, carved over and over again. "Let me out." Ethan stepped back. The words covered the lower half of the door. Some were shallow, barely visible. Some were deep, cut so hard into the wood that splinters still stuck out. "Let me out." Ethan slammed the door shut. For the rest of the day, he tried not to think about it. He told himself kids had probably lived in the house years ago. Maybe they had played a game. Maybe someone had locked a child inside the closet as a prank. It was creepy, but not impossible. That night, Ethan kept the hallway light on. He went upstairs, got into bed, and tried to sleep. At 2:30 a.m., the knocking came again. Knock. 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 Ethan opened his eyes. His body went cold. The knocking was louder this time. Knock. 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 Then came the scratching. Scrape. 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 But this time, something was different. Between each scrape, Ethan heard breathing. Slow. Heavy. Wet. He sat up, staring at the bedroom door. Then a voice came from downstairs. Very faint. Very low. "Ethan." He stopped breathing. The voice sounded like an old man. Dry. Cracked. Too close and too far away. At the same time. "Ethan." He grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight. His hands were shaking so badly that the beam jumped across the walls. He walked to the top of the stairs. The hallway light below was off. Ethan was sure he had left it on. The house was completely dark. Then the voice whispered again. "Come down." Ethan did not move. The small door under the stairs creaked. Just a little. He could not see it from the top of the stairs, but he heard it. The slow wooden groan of something opening. Then came a smell. Rotten wood, wet soil, old clothes, and something worse. Something human. Ethan stepped back and locked himself in the bedroom. He did not sleep again until sunrise. The next morning, Ethan called his mother. He asked if Grandma had ever mentioned anything strange about the house. His mother was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "What happened?" Ethan told her about the knocking, the scratching, the carved words inside the closet door. His mother did not laugh. She did not tell him he was imagining things. Instead, she said, "You need to leave that house." Ethan felt his stomach tighten. "Why?" his mother sighed. "When I was a child, your grandmother used to tell me never to open the door under the stairs at night." "Why?" She said someone lived there. Ethan looked toward the hallway. The house suddenly felt colder. "What do you mean someone lived there?" His mother lowered her voice. "When your grandmother bought that house, there was a man renting the basement. His name was Walter. At least, that is what people called him. He was quiet. Strange. He never came out during the day. Neighbors said they saw him standing by the windows at night, watching children walk home from school." Ethan said nothing. His mother continued. "One winter, a boy from the neighborhood disappeared. He was 8 years old. Police searched everywhere. Houses, woods, riverbanks. They questioned everyone, including Walter, but they never found the boy. What happened to Walter, no one knows," his mother said. A few days after the boy disappeared, Walter vanished too. Your grandmother always believed he ran away. Ethan looked at the small door beneath the stairs. His mother added, "But After that, she started hearing sounds. What? Sounds, knocking, scratching. Breathing from under the stairs. Ethan felt the phone slip slightly in his hand. She told me once, his mother whispered, that whatever was under there did not sound like a child. That afternoon, Ethan searched the house. He started with the basement. The basement door was near the kitchen. It opened to a narrow staircase that led into a damp concrete room. The air below was thick and cold. Ethan found old furniture, broken shelves, jars filled with rusted nails, and a water heater that made a low humming sound. Near the far wall, behind an old cabinet, he found something strange. A section of the wall had been patched with newer concrete. Different color, different texture, different age. Ethan touched it. It was colder than the rest of the wall. He got a hammer from the garage and struck the patch. Once, twice. On the third hit, the concrete cracked. A smell rushed out. Ethan gagged and stepped back. Behind the broken patch was a narrow, hollow space. Inside, he found a small shoe. A child's shoe. Old, brown, covered in dirt. Ethan dropped the hammer. He called the police. Officers arrived. Within the hour, they searched the basement and broke open the patched section of the wall. Behind it, they found bones. Small bones. The remains of a child, wrapped in what was left of a winter coat. Ethan stood outside while they worked. He felt sick. Neighbors gathered across the street, whispering. His mother arrived before sunset, crying. Before she even got out of the car. The police said the remains were very old. Decades old. They believed it might be the missing boy from the neighborhood. But that was not the worst part. Inside the wall, near the child's remains, they found adult fingernail marks, scratched into the concrete. From the inside, as if someone larger had been sealed in there too, but no second body was found. That night, Ethan did not stay in the house. He went to a motel with his mother. But at exactly 2:30 a.m., he woke up to knocking. Knock. 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 Ethan opened his eyes. The motel room was dark. His mother was asleep in the other bed. For one hopeful second, Ethan thought the sound had come from the door. Then he heard the scratching. Scrape. 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 It came from the bathroom. Ethan slowly turned his head. The bathroom door was open. Inside, beneath the sink, was a small cabinet door. It was moving, just slightly, back and forth, as if someone inside was pushing it with one finger. Ethan sat up, unable to scream. Then the old man's voice whispered from beneath the sink. "You opened my wall." Ethan grabbed his mother and ran from the room. They did not return for their bags. After that, Ethan refused to go back to the house. The police continued investigating, but officially, there was no evidence of Walter's body. Only the child was found. The house was sealed for a while, then eventually released back to the family. Ethan wanted to sell it, but no buyer stayed interested for long. One couple came to view the house and left within 5 minutes. They said there was a terrible smell near the stairs. Another man claimed he heard someone coughing behind the closet door. A real estate agent refused to enter after seeing muddy footprints leading from the basement to the storage closet under the stairs. Months passed. The house remained empty. At least, that was what everyone believed. Until one night, a neighbor called the police. She said she saw a man standing in the upstairs window. A tall, thin man, wearing old clothes, watching the street. When police arrived, the house was locked from the outside. No one was inside, but the small door under the stairs was open. On the inside of the door, fresh words had been carved into the wood. "Not let me out this time. Something new. He found me." The police searched the house again. In the basement, the patched wall had been repaired. No one knew who fixed it. No one had entered the house. No contractor had been hired. But the wall was smooth again. Fresh concrete. Still wet. Ethan's mother begged him to let the house be demolished. But demolition companies refused after one worker claimed he heard someone whispering his name from inside the walls. Another said his tools kept disappearing and turning up under the stairs, arranged neatly in a circle around the open closet door. Finally, the city boarded up the house. Windows covered, doors chained, a warning sign placed on the front porch. But people in the neighborhood say the house is not empty. At night, they still hear knocking. 3 slow knocks. From inside the walls. Sometimes they hear a child crying. Sometimes they hear an old man laughing. And sometimes, if they walk past the front window after midnight, they see a pale hand pressed against the glass from inside. But the worst thing happened 1 year later. Ethan had moved to another city. He lived in a modern apartment building. With no basement, no attic. And no staircase. He chose it specifically because there was nowhere for a small door to hide. For a while, everything was quiet. Then, on the anniversary of the day the bones were found, Ethan woke at 2:30 a.m. Not to knocking. Not to scratching. To breathing. Slow. Heavy. Wet. Right beside his bed, Ethan opened his eyes. His apartment was dark. The closet door across the room was open. He knew he had closed it before sleeping. Inside the closet, on the floor, was the child's shoe, the same small brown shoe found in the basement wall. Ethan could not move. Then something under the bed shifted. A long, thin hand reached out from the darkness. Its fingers scraped slowly across the floor. Scrape. 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 The old man's voice whispered from beneath the bed. You should have left me under the stairs. Ethan ran. He left everything behind. His clothes. His phone. His wallet. He ran barefoot down 9 flights of stairs and into the street. When police searched his apartment, they found no one. No shoe. No fingerprints. No sign of forced entry. But beneath Ethan's bed, carved into the wooden floor, were 3 words. Let me in. Ethan has not slept alone since. He stays with relatives, friends, anyone willing to keep a light on at night. He avoids staircases. He never opens small doors. He checks under every bed before entering a room. But sometimes, even in places with no stairs, he hears it. Knock. 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 From inside a wall. From beneath a sink. From under the floor. And every time, it is followed by that same slow scratching. Scrape. 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 If you are listening to this story at night, look toward the darkest corner of your home. If there is a small door there, do not open it. If you hear knocking from behind it, do not answer. And if something whispers your name from under the stairs, leave the house before it learns your voice. Because some doors are not built to keep things out. Some doors are built to keep things in. And once you open them, whatever was waiting behind them may decide that your house is better than its old one. If this story made you check under your bed or glance toward your stairs, leave a comment saying, I heard him breathing. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the next story may begin in a place you walk past every day.